Hey friends, as you can see, it's a second flight of the Mini 3 Pro. So as soon as we get out of these clouds, we'll be on our way. There's the opening. I see it right there. Okay. Well, we're headed south again, taking off from the same location as my last flight, but we're going to veer a little bit more to the west and see how she goes. It's a hot day here. It's 89 degrees out, so it's a good test of the Mini, how she handles in the heat. The wind is blowing 10 to 15 miles an hour. I'm flying into the wind. I'm going straight south. And she's flying into the wind with a little bit of a crosswind from the right to the left. So since the wind's so strong, she's in normal mode here. And as you can see, she's making pretty good time in normal mode. So here we're going to go ahead to the west a little bit. Try to keep the wind in her face a little. There's some more trails in the field down there. Mini 3 Pro, I haven't had any complaints about it at all to speak of. She handles real well in the wind. The RC signal is okay. It's not as good as the Mini 2, but more than adequate for what I'm doing, so I'm happy with that. And as you can see, I'm shooting in 4K 30 frames a second. She is taking great pictures. Just just wonderful pictures. So I haven't got anything to complain about too much. uh, did have a little bit of a problem getting my other controller, my RCN1, hooked up to it. I got a spare controller off that. I've got one for my Mini 2, but I've got a spare one. And I was trying to get it hooked up to the Mini 3 Pro, and was having a heck of a time. I don't think I know what I'm doing right or wrong yet, but I think I've got to get into the three dots on the top hand of the screen and go into trying to manually pair the thing up with the Mini Pro. So got to get into that. I horsed around with it a little bit and wasn't happy. Got a little frustrated. It wasn't doing what I wanted it to do. And I don't know if I want to do that or not. I'm getting fairly decent range out of the RC controller. You know, every time that you pair the RCN1, you've got to pair it, and then when you go back to wanting to fly the RC, you've got to repair that because you can only have one controller paired to your drone at one time. So it, back and forth could be a little bit of a hassle there. So we'll see. I'm going to try it once just to see how the signal strength is, but I'm real happy with this one right now. I've been flying it. The first flight I flew, the RC controller was only three-quarter brightness, and I had no problems I was sitting in some shade, but after this flight, I turn it up to full brightness, and my next flight will be at full brightness, and I'll probably go out in the sun. I've got a matte screen protector that I bought for it to kind of cut down the glare a little bit because she does have some glare on that screen. So as you can see, we're just taking a look at this place here. It looks like they got some big gardens up there or something. Actually, I think those are horse pens or corrals. I think they train horses and ride horses there. As you can tell, these folks probably have a few dineros in their pockets. Land doesn't come cheap, and that kind of land definitely doesn't come cheap. But like I said, they've got all kinds of natural gas wells over on these properties, and I think that's paying for the property, and the rent, and everything else, I'm sure, the price of natural gas as high as it is. Okay, we've made a turn back. I put her in cine mode. Uh, we're flying we're flying northwest now with the wind a little bit. The wind's blowing at our back and to the left, from the left to the right a little bit. So making pretty good speed in cine mode. Didn't have to go back to normal, so really haven't had any problems with it so far. I mean, she's flying like a champ. Get me wrong. My Mini 2 is still probably my favorite quad. Now, I've got a Phantom 3 Advanced that I really love, and several other smaller quads that had a special place in my heart, so to speak. But Mini 2 is still probably my favorite that I'm flying right now, and then this Mini 3 is right up there beside her. I think Peggy Sue, which is the name of the Mini 2, I think she might be getting jealous flying this Mini 3 a little bit now. And she been sitting in the bag. She thought she was getting out today, but I didn't have time for more than one flight. So anyway, we're headed back, and I'm just taking a look around. Like I said, I love looking at the greenery. I love watching trails and man-made trails, deer trails, critter trails, everything else. And I like the scenery. I like to fly, around buildings and look at the deco and how the buildings are laid out, But nothing beats just flying out in nature to me, anyway. May not be interesting to a lot of people, but I like it better than flying in congested areas, So the RC controller has, I think, right when I made that turn, before I made that turn, it went to red and a couple bars, but did not lose signal or anything. So she's been doing real well for me. I mean, I'm more than happy with it. I will test the RCN1 eventually. I've got a spare one of those laying around, and it's just waiting to do a test flight with it. So I don't know if it'll be that much better or any better, to be honest with you. I do love not having to fool with my phone. I mean, if you want to look at maps and stuff, you got to turn on the Wi-Fi on your phone and, create a hotspot and do all that stuff. But I know where I'm flying at, so I really don't need the maps. Eventually, I'll do that also. So, and I did set up put an SD card in the remote controller and got it set up so I can do screen recordings when I want to. Haven't been doing any screen recordings just because the screen record quality is terrible. It's like 720 by 480. Man, it would have been nice if they could have done 1080p. But, so I just stick with the 4K 30 frames a second here. And haven't done any 4K 60. It just, files are so giant as they are. On 4K 30, it breaks them down into I think this is going to be like 3 files. They're going to have to be daisy chained together. I think they go up to about 3 gig, and then it kicks off into another file somewhere. I don't know if you can change that in the settings or not, but that's what it seems to do. There's that crazy field on the right again, where somebody definitely had too much time on their hands after they cut that. I'm going to have to fly above that field and do some circles or hyperlapse or do something over that field, just because the pattern is so great. It just so neat. I haven't seen anybody out walking on that, and I don't know why they're not back in there walking on that too. Just maybe they don't know it's in there because they can't see it from the air, and it's got trees all the way around it. So anyway, I'm closing in again. Today there is one guy up there and sitting at a bench probably about 20 feet away from me, but he wasn't speaking any English at all, so I disregarded him and let him converse in his native language. So I didn't have anybody really bothering me. As you can see, there's my landing mat at the top and the picnic table. And I'm looking around, making sure no traffic, no cars, nothing like that. You're going to interrupt me, so come down a little bit closer. She sure flies good. You can see the trees moving now. Pretty good there. It was 10 to 15 mile an hour winds, and maybe with some gusts higher than that up at altitude, I'm sure. In fact, I probably should have checked the UV index and see. I looked at it before I left, and it was okay to fly. And it's still good to fly right now. Guess 18 miles an hour. So they were 10 to 15 steady. And you can see the trees are swirling around now. I've got that 8-10 foot sign in front of me again. So it's a matter of getting over that, and I got trees to the left of me, trees to the right. Man, it sounds like a song. I'm stuck in the middle with you. Sorry, I digress. It shows a little bit of my age. A little bit. I'm much, much older than that song. I was around when the music died, so that ought to tell you something. In fact, I was going to school when the music died. Oh, there went somebody, so I made it over the road before some guy came up and parked there again. So now I'm backing into my parking spot. We'll see if we can get over that sign again, which we did, underneath the tree. The wind is blowing pretty good, so getting her right above the landing pad is a little bit of a chore, but the old man still can do it. Come on, the right to the left, the right to the left. We're going to go down. No, we're going to go up. I hate that beeping of that obstacle avoidance. Anyway, I said right there. Thanks, guys. Have a great time. Thanks for watching. Fly safe.